So the full-time whistle has just gone in Dublin. It's ended between Ireland and Argentina. These are my thoughts immediately following the final whistle. I've made my way to London. As you can see, I'm not in my usual surroundings. That's because I'm in town for England v South Africa tomorrow, but my attention right now is on Dublin. But for all of the rugby across the weekend and in general, make sure you hit subscribe on the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and leave your comments down below. What did you make of that game? Which, spoiler alert, if you're trying to avoid the result, is coming your way now. Resultado final. Don't know how to say Ireland in Spanish, so I'll end that there. Ireland 22, Argentina 19. Went right down to the death. And I've got lots of questions to ask. I'll try and offer some answers as well in amongst it. But does this feel like it's a win for Ireland? They got the dub in Dublin. But does it feel like a win? It was interesting body language from the coaches, Paul O'Connell and Andy Farrell and Simon Easterby. Looked a bit underwhelmed at the full-time whistle. So whilst Ireland have won, and that's important to get back on the horse and get the W at home, start building the Aviva into a fortress once again after a 19-game unbeaten run at home came to an end last week. It felt far from perfect for Ireland. That said, they started brilliantly, and I'll get to the game in a minute. Discipline, not great, and there were 4 yellow cards on the night. And Argentina will be, you could argue they've only got themselves to blame for not getting a first ever win in Dublin. As it is, it's 11 wins for Ireland over Argentina in Dublin, 0. A big fat bagel for Argentina. But they had a crack tonight. But yeah, they may feel that they messed that up for themselves, particularly with that last yellow card for Gomez Cadella, which I'll get to. Other thoughts just overall. Discipline. Not great from both teams. On the penalty count, Ireland were well behind. On the yellow card count, Argentina, you just cannot play that many minutes of top-level international rugby and come away with a win. Atmosphere, I don't know if these Friday night games are working or whether it's just the television that's not conveying the atmosphere properly, but just felt a little bit muted in Dublin there. Ireland got some line-out issues. So many mullets on the pitch. These are just my overall thoughts, just spitballing them off the top of my head right now. So many mullets. It used to be that only Australia would have mullets like that, but I think Ireland may be world leaders in mullets right now. What else? Scrums. I mean, referees may as well just carry a magic 8-ball with them on the pitch, and when there's a scrum that goes down, just shake it. Yeah, that penalty's against you this time. There are some decisions and some moments in rugby where I can't really work out what is going on out there on an international rugby pitch. It sounds like I'm being negative. Let me just be positive for a second. What an awesome time for international rugby. How many games between top teams are there that are within a score and that are on the line going into the last 10 minutes? Like last week in Dublin was a rare occasion where you had one team that was actually won comfortably by a full 10 points. But we've had so many games like this when the top teams face each other. I guess whilst they lost, the good thing for Argentina is that they stayed in the fight. We've seen from them so many times they'll win one week and then be poor the next. And they absolutely smashed Italy last week, but they managed to back it up with some good things against Ireland. They will go away feeling like they should have won that game. Ireland a bit disjointed in attack. Still, there was some fluency, and again, I'll go to the first 20 minutes, which was probably the best patch for Ireland. I'll go to that in a minute, and there were lots of signs that maybe some of their mojo is returning. Argentina, attack-wise, I feel like when they are looser and when they play faster, they look amazing. Every single time they got into Ireland's 22, they tightened up and they went narrow and they just went pick and go and they went one man out, and it never worked for them. So I wonder if they'll reflect on that. Individual performers, there were lots of good performers out there. I thought Tadhg and Caelan Doris were big for Ireland in the pack. Caelan Doris, I don't know whether it's just because he's captain. I think just great players have this ability. He seems to have that Richie McCaw cloak of invisibility. It's like refs let him get away with murder, and he just manages it. And rather than being annoyed at Doris for that, I admire it, as I admired it from Richie McCaw. It's like, how's he managed to get away with that? It's just and now he's doing it with all the cameras and everything on him all the time, and TMOs and all the rest of it. So yeah, he's just a special talent. I thought Josh van der Fleer as well. That guy is just made of iron. He was great. For Argentina in the forwards, I thought Oviedo was massive. That. Bearing in mind there's no Marcos Kremer for this one, they have got some absolute beasts in their back row. When they're all available, they're going to have some amazing players on the bench. McCarthy was good as well for Ireland. In the backs, I thought Henshaw and Ringrose looked really solid defensively. And actually, when Ireland were attacking well, it was the two of them that were kind of linking together very well. That Crowley, Henshaw, and Ringrose axis was actually, it felt quite good. And Argentina's back three players, another reason to make sure you get the ball wide. They are, Malia's try was just insane. So again, yeah, I'm just spilling out thoughts as they come to my head. Let me go back to the start of the game. And what do we have at the start? It was, early massive pressure for Ireland, wasn't it? I did think, right, anthems. There was no Argentinian that cried during their national anthem. And that's generally my rule. The more Argentinians cry, the more likely they are to win. And there was 0 cries. And at that point, I thought, well, Ireland have got this by 15. Turned out to be a lot tighter than that. Although you wouldn't have thought it if you just watched the opening 15 minutes, because Albanese, who had a bit of a shaky night tonight, didn't he, at fly half? And on the flip side, Jack Crowley looked much more assured. He had a much better night in the 60 minutes he was on. And Sam Prendergast, well, he's now an international rugby player and managed to help see his team home. Didn't manage to crack the nut on an attacking point of view, but there you go. He's had 20 minutes of test match rugby under his belt now and come through the challenge. But yeah, Albanese got charged down. Argentina were failing to exit. And then it looked like one poor pass and Argentina were going to go through and score a try from Moroni, but that got disallowed. The yellow card was given for a head-on-head on Moroni as well. A few things come to mind on this decision. Did Jack Crowley milk it a little bit? It was head-on-head. I can see it was a penalty. So 2 things. Did Jack Crowley milk it? He looked in that much pain and was holding his head that at the very least, I think, if you go down and dive like that, not saying he dived, sorry, let me take that back. If you go down in the way Jack Crowley goes down, you should have to go off for an HIA, whether the doctor thinks you need it or not. It's like, well, you've just rolled on the floor holding your head. If I was a referee, off you go. Go and get your head sorted. Go and get your head checked. So maybe I'm being unkind on Jack Crowley on that one. But one thing I do think, that the TMO interventions and the refereeing decisions, I don't know, yes, it was the right decision, but done in the wrong way. And that's one of the things I've come away thinking with this. So we keep saying we're putting all this resources in rugby into spotting these things and taking pressure off the referee. We had to wait until the ball had gone 90 metres in the other direction and Argentina had scored a brilliant try before then we go back and check something which the TMO or the assistant referee could have, and in the case of the TMO should have, that's what they're there to do, should have spotted it before we have to go through the whole 90 metres of play and then celebrate a try that then gets taken off again. It just feels a bit dissatisfying when that happens. Anyway, it turned out to be a 14-point swing because a couple of minutes later, and Jack Crowley, who in my opinion should have been off getting an HIA, scores the try. 14-point turnaround. And then Mac Hansen scores a try. Really good handling. Forwards and backs getting their hands on the ball. Really great ruck speed. More like the Ireland attack we know. And it was 12-0 up. And you thought, right, here we go. Ireland are on it tonight. And they felt like they were. They had energy. They had speed. They had different running angles. They had depth of attack. Quick ruck ball. The one thing they didn't have, however, on this night was discipline, and that plagued them the whole night long. I think they must have been at 15 or 16 pens by the end of the match, and that just kept Argentina in it. You had, really, really aggressive defence from Ireland as well, but they were coughing up attacking positions for Argentina, who were keeping in it through penalties to start with. They got 3 penalties initially, and then there was that massive moment. Joe McCarthy scored to make it 22-9. Jack Crowley with a great drop goal in amongst it. So 3 tries for Ireland and 3 penalties for Argentina. And you thought, right, Argentina, the dam is about to burst here. There was that period at the end of the first half where you thought Argentina have got to score here. And again, what I was talking about, Argentina just tightened up, went narrow. And they play this brilliant wide game and speed and coast to coast to get into attacking positions and then kind of freeze when they get close to the line. Anyway, they didn't manage to punch it in before half-time. A couple of things on the first half, and I don't want to sort of focus on any negatives, but as well as some of the decisions, the way they're done, even if it's the right decision, the way it's done, I found dissatisfying. The other thing that sort of frustrated me a little bit is the lack of replays on key decisions, like the knock-on or maybe phantom knock-on that ended the match. Didn't see a replay of it. The turnover at the end of that first half, a critical point in the match. And if it was a turnover for Ireland, well, it was a turnover for Ireland, and they got the ball back and then kicked it out and ended the half. That's a big moment in the match. I want to see what happened in that moment, but we weren't getting these replays. I don't know whether that was down to the camera options that were being offered to the director. I don't know who's directing it. I don't know whether it's an Irishman, because that's going to lead to people saying it's that old French TV director thing. I've no idea, but all I do know is that there was a lack of replays for really critical moments that were telling the story of how this game would go. I'm not accusing anyone of anything untoward. I'm just saying I want to see this stuff. Anyway, second half happens, and that little spark comes for Argentina in the form of Juan Cruz Malia and his footwork. Absolutely world-class finish. Could Ireland have defended a little bit better? I don't know. I'd prefer to focus on just the amazing attack of Malia, followed up with a penalty for Albanese to make it 22-19. And there was lots of time left for whoever wanted to either kill the game off if you were Ireland or win the game if you were Argentina. There was opportunities for both teams. They weren't able to make it count. A big part of that was just huge defence from both sides. A part of that, though, was, in Ireland's case, that slightly disjointed attack not really being fluent. And in Argentina's case, it was them not being brave enough when they get into the attacking third. But it made for such an exciting second half. Absolutely loved it. Congratulations to Cian Healy on equaling Brian O'Driscoll's Test appearance record for Ireland. 133 caps is phenomenal. Gomez Cadella. He will be feeling absolutely rotten right now. So Ireland are on the attack. Argentina are they're just animals at the breakdown. They were just putting so much pressure, and they got a really good turnover penalty counter ruck, and they got several counter rucks in this game on their own line. Ireland, the game was on this moment, 69 minutes. They tap 5 metres out, set up a maul, goal line defence, phase after phase, and Argentina make a massive counter ruck. And then get a turnover pen on Osborne a moments later. They managed to get into Ireland's half, start playing tight again, which I would criticise them for, because the good stuff they were doing was when they got the ball through the hands a little bit more. And then Gomez Cadella, the ball was won, the breakdown was over. There was absolutely no need to come in, but he came in and made contact with the head of an Irish player only has himself to blame. And kind of when you look back for Argentina, that was their moment, although they were attacking right at the very death. Really, really enjoyable game. Glad to see the Ireland winning again at the Aviva. Glad to see Argentina having a crack. Nice to see Felipe Contepomi back in his other home from home, Leinster, where they absolutely love him there. And fair play, those South American playboys gave it a crack. Ireland got themselves a much-needed win. They now roll on to Fiji at home next week and then Australia. So 3 wins from 4 would make up for the disappointment of last week. Argentina have smashed Italy, lost to Ireland narrowly. Their autumn is hanging in the balance. Well, their November, it's not autumn for them down in the Southern Hemisphere, is it? It's hanging in the balance, depending on how the next couple of weeks go. As for, I'm doing a World Player of the Year watch, breakthrough player watch as these games go. Caelan Doris probably just gave another little reminder to the judges that he's a hell of a player. So I'm expecting him to be on the shortlist for World Player of the Year. Your thoughts in the comments down below. Just been rambling on. As I say, just my thoughts immediately following full time. Might have some more considered thoughts a bit later in the weekend. But yeah, cannot wait. I'm in London for the rugby. England, South Africa next. I will see you on the next video.